Hey, I'm Natalia Bonner. Welcome back. All right, tension does not have to be something that is a four-letter word. All right, so I'm sure that you, like myself, have definitely gone through time periods where tension is just not your friend. Trust me, I have. I'm pretty sure there were times where I actually wanted to pick up my long arm and throw it out of the window, but mostly because I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. So here's a few tips and tricks that might help you achieve better tension. Let's start out with thread. I have found that on my Gamel 22-inch machine, the So Fine thread runs beautifully. Not only does it run beautifully on my machine, blend awesome into my quilts, but it also creates beautiful tension. Now, I found out that the So Fine runs beautifully on my machine through a lot of trial and error. And I recommend that for you. Try different products and see what will work best for you and your machine. But it is important to understand your machine, understand your thread path, and understand what could be going wrong. So knowing your machine, first of all, is super important. Okay, so back to the thread. The second thing about the thread that I recommend, especially when starting out, is matching thread colors. So here I have a pink thread. I also have some pink pre-wound bobbins. I have found that the Super Bob pre-wound bobbins are running great on my machine. So for now, that's what I'm sticking with, and I'm having beautiful tension by sticking with these. But I do definitely recommend starting out by using matching thread colors. So the next thing that I recommend to help you achieve really awesome tension is a TOA bobbin gauge. Okay, so these are really awesome. When I started machine quilting, I just didn't understand how to properly set my bobbin tension. So I got a TOA bobbin gauge. You should be able to pick one of these out from like your machine dealer, and your machine dealer will be able to tell you what number you should be running thread through here. So what you do with the TOA gauge is you place your bobbin inside of the bobbin case, snap it into here, and then you can pull your thread through these gauges, and it will tell you exactly how much tension you have there on your thread. This little device seriously is worth every freaking penny. Now, I do know that machines are all different what your setting should be, so definitely check with your machine manufacturer first. Once this is set to the proper setting, then you can put your bobbin back into your machine, and from there you know your bobbin tension is now perfectly adjusted. So you're probably going to need to adjust your top tension. Tip number 3 for awesome tension: use the correct needles for the size of thread that you are using. I always stick with the thread manufacturer's recommended needle size whenever doing any machine quilting. So whether I'm using a sit-down machine and quilting, or whether I'm using my long arm machine, I always run to the thread manufacturer's website and see what size of needle they recommend. You don't want to have a needle that is too large, as that can cause issues with your tension, and you also don't want to have a needle that is too small, because that can also cause issues with your tension. Now, one more tip that I personally have found when loading my quilts onto my machine that definitely helps me with my tension. When loading your quilts onto a long arm machine, or even when quilting on a sit-down machine, you want to make sure that your quilts are loaded properly, nice and flat, and that you're not pulling too much tension on the quilt. So when the quilt is here on my frame, there have been times where I've tightened my quilt so tight onto my frames that the fabric is so tight, and that will start causing issues with my tension. I hope these little tension tips and tricks will help you achieve better tension. Don't forget, before you start quilting on your actual quilt, load some scrap fabric on your machine with your batting and test your tension there before starting on an actual quilt. I'll be back next week. See you then.